Where is this industry going to be in 10 years, and how's it going to change, and what's going to drive it?
Well, it's interesting. I think, radio is almost a limiting description of what we do. We're one of the biggest social players out there because people talk to us. So radio started out as the first social medium. If you ever worked in radio, the request line rang all the time, the contest line, the dedication line. People wanted to talk. Today, social's the new telephone. So instead of having the dialogue, we have an omnilog, but that makes us a very big social player. We did the iHeartRadio Music Awards on NBC. We had 14 billion social impressions compared to only 5 for the Academy Awards and only about 3 for the halftime at the Super Bowl. How do you get that much? Because that's what we do, and that's the relationship we have with the audience. And we do events, we do digital. iHeartRadio was the fastest service in the history of the internet, not just apps, to reach 20 million registered users. It's now at 70 million, still setting records. And so we think what we're really in the business of is sound. We're really in the business of the relationship with the consumer around sound, around listening, around hearing. As somebody in the advertising business said, well, when iHeart says I hear with a T on the end, I go, okay, that works too. And I think when I look at the business, I think what we're moving towards, we're getting away from ratings, we're getting into ROI. We're moving away from formulas and we're moving into goals and concepts. What we're really trying to do is build engaged relationships with consumers and not trying to sell them on something. We're trying to connect them to what they would like. And it's understanding products, it's understanding the consumer and making those matches. Data is transforming this business. The way in which we buy and sell media is sort of closer to Selectric typewriters and whiteout than it is the modern day. And we've got to move the business there, and we're in the process of doing it. And I think when we look at the business in 5 or 6 years, it's going to look very data-driven. It's going to look very consumer-centric. It's going to be, I always talk about this wonderful mix of the math, the quantitative stuff, and the magic, which is the creativity that we all bring to it. I mean, I can understand the consumer, but if I'm not very exciting, all this knowledge does me no good. That we've got to know who they are, and then we've got to excite them. We've got to engage them, and that's the magic. And it's that combination, and I think you'll see it expressed in a modern way as time moves on.
Now, the whole value chain is being blurred, and the role of the traditional ad agency has certainly been changing. You see others that are getting into their business. If you look at the ad agency business, how about them over the next 10 years? Where do you think they're going to be?
I think it's going to be a great time for ad agencies. Because when we just have formulas of go buy some spots on radio or TV or some pages in a magazine or the newspaper, the client began going, how hard is that? Why am I paying you so much money? And they began pushing the fees lower and lower and lower. Today, it's like, okay, how do I find that group that's going to buy my Pampers? And by the way, I got 4 different buying groups. Where am I going to find those people? How am I going to put them together? How am I going to motivate them? And by the way, I need to get an ROI. Forget ratings, that's your worry. How do I get, if I want to spend $1, how do I get $4 in sales back or $5? Or I need $10 in sales back. Where can I get that? How can I get? Now you're talking about something that's very complicated. So I don't think the pressure is going to be on the fees to the agencies now. I think the pressure is going to be on the performance. And I think the agencies are building that skill set better than I think anyone's built it. I mean, they are becoming experts on data. They're becoming experts on how to connect these relationships with consumers to products, how to borrow these relationships. In the grandest sense, advertising we do is really renting our consumer relationships to unaffiliated third parties. So it doesn't have to be a 30-second commercial. It can be anything which moves the consumer and connects. And so I think the ad agencies are in for a real renaissance, and I can't think of a more exciting time to be in the ad business.
Great insight. Thank you very much, Bob,
Thank
for being
you.
part of our Media Revolutionary series.
Thanks.